Something is happening at the bottom of the ocean that has scientists around the world worried. China is going deeper, deeper than any nation has ever gone. And what they're doing down there could cause irreversible damage to ecosystems we don't even fully understand yet. Over the past 10 years, China has invested billions of dollars in underwater technology. Unmanned submarines, deep-sea robots, research vessels equipped with heavy machinery, and officially, all of this is for scientific exploration. But marine scientists are seeing worrying signs. Areas of the ocean floor are being mapped in extreme detail. Sediments are being collected in large quantities. Mining equipment is being tested in international waters. And no one is really monitoring it, because what China is seeking down there isn't just knowledge, it's rare metals, strategic resources, materials that will determine who controls the technology of the future. And the way they're going about it could destroy entire ecosystems before we even understand what's in them. And here's the problem. Once you disturb the ocean floor, there's no going back. There's no undoing it. And we're talking about a place that covers 70% of the planet and that we know less about than the surface of Mars. So let's take a look at exactly what concerns scientists, what's at stake, and why this should matter to you too. But before we continue, if you like this kind of content, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos. Let's start with what China is after. Cobalt, nickel, manganese, copper. Rare metals found inside your cell phone, your computer, and electric car batteries. Everything we call future technology depends on these elements, and the problem is that they're concentrated in just a few places around the world. China already dominates the refining of many of these metals, but it also wants to control the source, and it has discovered that there are massive reserves at the bottom of the ocean. Scattered across the ocean floor, especially at depths between 4,000 and 6,000 meters, are polymetallic nodules. These are dark, potato-sized rocks that grow slowly over millions of years. Inside them are extremely high concentrations of these precious metals. According to geological studies, just one area of the Pacific Ocean, called the Clarion-Clipperton Zone, contains more nickel, cobalt, and manganese than all known terrestrial reserves combined. And China has already secured exploration licenses in several of these areas. Through the International Seabed Authority, linked to the UN, they have requested more exploration areas than any other country, officially for research. But scientists know that research is just the beginning. And this is where the concern begins. Because harvesting these nodules involves dragging giant machines across the seafloor, sucking up sediment, crushing rocks, and releasing clouds of particles that spread for hundreds of kilometers. Now comes the part that frightens marine biologists. The ocean floor is not an empty wasteland. It is teeming with life, a great deal of life. Creatures that have taken millions of years to evolve under extreme conditions, bacteria that produce chemical energy, giant worms, sponges that can live for centuries, deep-sea fish with unique adaptations, and most of these species have never been studied, cataloged, or named. A study published in the journal Current Biology in 2020 estimated that we may know less than 10% of the species living in deep waters. 10%. The other 90% are completely unknown. And when you mine the ocean floor, you destroy these creatures' habitat. Suction machines don't distinguish between rock and organisms. Everything is sucked up together, crushed, processed, but there's something worse. The clouds of sediment. When the machines scrape the seafloor, they stir up tons of mud and fine particles. These particles remain suspended in the water for weeks, sometimes months, and are carried by ocean currents over enormous distances. This suffocates organisms that depend on filtering the water and blocks light from reaching creatures that still have some ability to see at these depths. And it can affect areas far beyond the mining zone. According to Dr. Lisa Levin, a marine biologist at the University of California, San Diego, a medium-sized mining operation can impact an area equivalent to the size of the city of Sao Paulo. And we're talking about impacts that last for decades, perhaps centuries. And no one has tested this on a real-world scale yet. All we have are simulation models, small studies. But China is moving forward anyway. And this deeply concerns the scientific community. But the threat doesn't stop at biodiversity. There's something else, something that could affect the global climate. The ocean floor stores carbon, a lot of carbon. Marine sediments accumulate organic matter over millions of years, and that carbon stays trapped there, out of the atmosphere, out of the climate cycle. But when you disturb those sediments, you release that carbon back into the water. And eventually, some of it goes into the atmosphere in the form of CO2. A study published in the journal Nature Geosciences in 2022 warned that deep-sea mining could release significant amounts of stored carbon. And at a time when the entire world is trying to reduce emissions, adding more CO2 to the atmosphere is exactly the opposite of what we need. Furthermore, the ocean floor plays a crucial role in regulating the climate. Deep-water ocean currents transport heat around the planet. They influence weather patterns, and disturbing the ocean floor too much could have consequences we can't even predict. Climate scientists are calling for caution. They're calling for more studies and more time. This would be a problem because the damage could be global. No matter where mining takes place, the climate consequences will affect everyone. And here's another point of concern. Who is overseeing this? The International Seabed Authority was created to regulate exploitation in international waters, but it has limited resources, few inspectors, little technology, and relies on the goodwill of member countries to report their activities. China has been evasive. Reports on its activities are vague, data on environmental impact is scarce, and when independent scientists request access to areas that have been mined, they encounter bureaucratic barriers. We're not talking about transparency, we're talking about secrecy. Meanwhile, circumstantial evidence suggests that mining tests are already underway. Chinese ships have been tracked in sensitive areas, and heavy equipment has been seen being tested, but detailed information is not being disclosed. Organizations such as Greenpeace and the Deep Sea Conservation Coalition have been pushing for a moratorium. They want all deep-sea mining to be banned until we have complete impact studies and truly understand what we are doing. More than 700 marine scientists from around the world have signed a letter calling for a pause, calling for time, calling for responsibility. But countries like China argue that ocean mining is less destructive than land-based mining, that it doesn't cause deforestation, that it doesn't directly affect human communities, and that these metals are necessary for the energy transition. that may even be true, but we're talking about a trade-off, destroying one ecosystem to save another. And many scientists believe that's not a price worth paying. And there's something else scientists keep repeating. We don't know enough. We don't know how many species exist down there. We don't know how deep-sea ecosystems connect with the rest of the ocean. We don't know how much carbon is stored there. We don't know how the seafloor recovers from disturbances. And we're about to start mining on an industrial scale without these answers. It's like walking into a dark room and starting to break things without knowing what's in there. It may not break anything important, but it could destroy something essential. And once it's broken, it can't be fixed. Scientists use the term precautionary principle. It means that when you don't know the consequences of an action, you should be cautious. You should wait until you know more. But economic and geopolitical logic doesn't work that way. China wants to secure resources before other countries do the same. It wants to position itself as a leader, and the environment becomes secondary in this equation. And this isn't just a Chinese problem. Other countries also have exploration licenses. Private companies are preparing to enter the fray, but China is in the lead and setting the pace. So why does this worry scientists so much? Why are we talking about irreversible damage? We're talking about unique ecosystems that will never return. We're talking about carbon released into the atmosphere, lost biodiversity, and climate consequences that no one can predict. And all of this is happening right now, without public debate, without transparency, without time to truly understand what we're doing. The race for resources is real. The need for metals for clean technology is real. But the way we're going about it may cause more harm than good. And what frightens scientists the most is the speed. Because science needs time, it needs data, it needs caution. But politics and the economy won't wait. And when you mix haste with a lack of knowledge, the result is usually disaster. What China is seeking at the bottom of the ocean is no mystery. It's resources, power, and control over the technology of the future. But the price may be too high, and scientists around the world are trying to sound the alarm before it's too late. Because the ocean isn't infinite, it isn't exhaustible, and it doesn't recover quickly. Once you destroy the bottom of the ocean, it takes millions of years for it to return to what it was, if it ever does. The question isn't whether we need these metals. We do. The question is it worth destroying something we don't even fully understand yet to get them? Perhaps there are other solutions, recycling on a larger scale, developing technologies that use fewer of these metals, more responsible land-based mining. But until these alternatives become a reality, the pressure on the ocean floor only increases, and China is not alone. Others will follow, and once it really gets started, it may be impossible to stop. Scientists are concerned, and perhaps we should be too. What do you think? Is it worth risking entire ecosystems for rare metals, or should we look for other solutions? Leave your thoughts in the comments. If this video made you think differently, share it and subscribe to the channel. There's plenty more here. See you in the next video. Bye.